As you come into this pose, come in strongly, muscles engaged, finding the exact alignment you want to be in. Tuck the chin in very gently, reaching the crown of the head toward the ceiling, and then let's take a very deep breath in through the nose. As you release out through the nose or your mouth, try to feel your body softening, melting into this posture, melting into this pose. Take a moment here to draw in your own personal intention today. So an idea, an emotion, a feeling that you want to bring in. It's how we start to cultivate a skill, cultivate a feeling or a trend, pattern of thoughts through the mind. It's first just bringing in that awareness. One more deep breath, drawing that intention into your body. And releasing out. Let your arms come alongside your body. Big inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Palms connect, belly pulls in. Exhale, let's fold over the legs. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. And on your exhale, allow yourself to melt into a ragdoll position. So letting your hands find opposite elbow creases. Tuck your chin in, really let your head drop toward your mat. Your head becomes long, shoulders heavy. Let all the muscles along your back body extend and expand. With each inhale, feel them lengthen. Every exhale, feel the belly escape, or the breath rather, escape your belly. Let your belly fall deeper, maybe connecting to your thighs. Let your knees have that micro bend, so we don't lock into any joints. And so often in our sun salutations, we move quickly through this pose. So right now, just taking the time to fully open up the back body. Hold this one a little longer than you normally would to truly experience the benefits of this pose. Gentle inversion, the hamstrings opening up. Keep rooting down evenly through your feet. Exhale, let's release the hands down to the floor. Let's step back to our high plank position. And hold here, shoulders stacked over your wrists, feet still hip distance apart, belly to spine, finding the front of the body. This opportunity to open up. From here, let's push off of the toes. Drop your knees down to the mat. Belly to spine, slowly lower. As you do so, elbows point toward your wall, squeezing in on your ribcage. Let's inhale, press up. Come up as high as you'd like in this cobra. Opening through the front of your body. And on an exhale, send the hips right back toward your heels. Full breath. Let's tense up onto the fingers. Breathe into the back body. Push slightly back, trying to lengthen even longer. And on your exhale, let's sink in. Shoulders soften, everything melts. One more time, tense the fingers, inhale into the back body. And exhale, let's release down. One more time. Inhale. Lifting and pushing back. And then exhale, melting in. up to your tabletop. Tuck your back toes under, send your hips up and back, downward dog. Good, from here, we'll have to take some time to reposition ourselves and get comfortable here. We're using the wall. So take a moment to lift up. We'll start with the right leg and send that top of the foot against the wall. So toes point slightly up toward the ceiling. And then try to let that left heel descend down toward your mat. Keep pushing through your arms, pulling your belly in towards your spine. We're focusing on keeping the hips square. So if you even want, you can press your right toes into the wall. Then focus on letting that heel of the left foot, again, drop down to the mat so that you open up through your hamstring. As you push through the arms, let that right foot press into the wall, belly drawing in. So as your hip flexor of that right side opening up. One more breath. Good, let's look towards the hands on our inhale. And on our exhale, let's drive that knee forward. Can you step your foot in between your hands, dropping your back knee down to the mat. Inhale, arms can sweep up. As you exhale, hands come down through heart center, armoring up the core. We'll press that back foot down into the mat. Let your hips stack over your back knee, belly drawing in. We'll reach the left arm up overhead, bringing the hand to the upper back. Your right hand can grab hold of your elbow, pulling your elbow in towards your midline, and then pressing your head back into that arm. Getting a good tricep stretch for that left side. And we can involve the left side of the body and the left hamstring a little more by taking a lean over to the right. So often when we're running, the triceps can tighten up here. So we're just bringing length back. One more breath. And then coming up through to center. Let's release our hands down to the mat. We'll step back to our high plank. Inhale, shift forward. And exhale, feel free to drop your knees or lower down chaturanga. Your inhale, find your upward lift. And exhale, downward facing dog. Pushing through the arms, belly to spine, tailbone lifting up and back. Gazing between the knees, let's start to send that left leg up and back. So your choice of positioning the top of your left foot against the wall, or helping to keep the hips square, curl the toes under, reach up through your heel. Let that right heel descend to the mat. Right hamstring lengthening, left front body opening. Keep pushing through the arms, belly drawing in. Try not to sink through the low back. One more breath. Good, let's look towards the hands. Drive your knee in towards your chest, stepping the foot between your hands. Drop your back knee down to the mat. Inhale, arms lift. And exhale, hands down to your heart. Press that back foot down into the floor. Tuck the tailbone under, belly pulling in. Right arm reaches up toward the ceiling, and then bend at the elbow. Your left hand comes up, grabbing hold of your elbow, pulling it toward your midline. pressing your head slightly back into that upper arm. Try and keep the hips square and level. Hold here, rib cage pulling in. And then adding in that side bend if you would like. Really breathing into the right side. One more breath. And then coming right back up through to center. Hands release down to your mat. Curl the back toes under, step back, high plank. Moving through your vinyasa, your chaturanga. Exhale down, inhale to rise. Cobra or upward dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Full breaths here. And from here, let's walk the feet forward. At the top of your mat, inhale, lift flat back. And exhale, fold. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. And we exhale, hands down through heart center. Take a moment to widen your stance, almost mat distance apart along the short edge. Hands are going to come behind the back, interlacing or clasping hands if we can. If not, we'll grab a towel or a shirt and just hold on to either end. And then with an open heart, hold the belly in, gentle lift toward the ceiling, and slowly micro bend in the knees, fold over your legs. Feel your hands lifting off of your low back, reaching towards the ceiling, and then feel free to let them fall even further in front of you. Again, trying to let your head drop down toward the mat, as heavy as can be. Breathe into your upper back body, full expansion of the chest, of your back body, of your belly, and exhaling to release out. Bring your hands down to your low back. Let's release hands down to the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. And heel toe or hop the feet hip distance apart. And exhale, folding over your legs. Big inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, plant your hands. Let's step back with the left leg. Drop your knee down to the mat and walk your right foot off to the side. So coming into your lizard pose, hands can root. Feel free to walk that foot off to the side. Turn your foot as much as you can so toes point to the right side as far as it can go. And then roll onto the outer edge of your ankle or your foot. You want that outer edge rooting, your ankle is strong and flexed, so toes naturally pulling toward that shin bone as much as they can. Knee aligned, and we're feeling this through the hip. Dropping down to forearms if it's comfortable. Making sure that we're not compensating through the spine, really rounding and hinging forward to reach down, but rather we can stay long and open as we come into this fold. last breath. And then let's make sure we're up on our hands. Walk that foot back in. Curl your back toes under. And let's walk our hands over to the left side edge of our mat, turning the toes with us, lunging into your left leg. So really opening up through that right inner thigh, choosing whether you want the outer edge of your right foot to root, toes pointing in front of you, or if you'd like to lift toes up toward the ceiling. Our challenge may be to also work on dropping the left heel down toward the mat. Again, very deep of an opening for the hips, for your hamstrings, your inner leg. Hands can come to heart center if it's comfortable to stay open in the chest. So spending a little more time in each of these poses, really allowing the deeper connective tissues to lengthen. Getting into increasing our flexibility and our range of motion. Bring your breath into every pose. If you're not breathing deeply, then we're not benefiting and we won't be able to sink and relax into it. In your own time, let's bring our hands down to the mat. Root down through that right foot if it was lifted. Come up to a wide leg forward fold. Lift up halfway. And then exhale, melt over the legs. When you're ready, walk the hands under the chest. Bring them over toward the top edge of your mat. And then step back to your high plank. From here, shift forward, exhaling to lower. Inhale, upward lift, and exhale, downward facing dog. Pushing through the arms, drawing navel to spine, tailbone lifting, micro bend in the knees. Let's look towards the hands and we'll step the left leg forward. Drop your back knee down to the mat. Hands come to the inside of that left foot, walking your foot off to the side. Again, trying to create a very strong flexed ankle. So turning the toes as much as you can toward the left, then rolling onto the outer edge of that foot. Strong ankle, strong knee, releasing at the hip. Some of these are those love-hate poses. So getting in quite deep, they can feel really good, but sometimes hard to maintain. So if any time you feel pain, that's a sign to ease out. If it's that sharp kind of piercing, that jolt catches your breath, then that's, again, a sign to ease out. If it's just discomfort, that's when we need to focus on the breath. Intentionally bring in deep inhales, strong, full breaths, and long, extended exhales. Breath is a tool in the practice. And last breath, and then slowly make your way onto the hands. Curling your back toes under, walking that front foot back in. Let's lift the back knee, Hands walk over to the right side edge of your mat, bending into the right side so that we open up through the left inner thigh. Now you can decide again, keep that outer edge of the foot rooted or turn the toes up. Can we work on dropping this right heel down to the mat? Hands come to heart center if we can lift. One more breath. And then let's drop the hands down to the mat, gently pressing up. Walk the hands under the chest, find that flat back position, and then exhale to fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Walk your hands to the top edge of your mat and step back, high plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bring in each inhale deeper into the belly. And then looking towards your hands, let's drop down onto the shins, onto the knees, and sit back onto the heels, so Virasana. If this one's uncomfortable, feel free to bring a block, maybe 2 blocks, in between your ankles, so the inner edges of your ankles press in on it. And then we sit back, so the sit bones rest into that block. If this is uncomfortable for the knees, it could be too much flexion right now, or maybe too harsh on the ankles, too much pronation. Feel free then to come into a cross-leg position, or even standing. The pose that we're looking for, we want the arms to come behind our back and just bring the knuckles toward one another. So we're going to get an opening here through the front of the arms. Now with this one, you can explore what it feels like to draw the elbows forward, keeping the knuckles in towards one another. And you can also explore what it feels like to draw the elbows back. Finding both of these versions, just focus also on keeping the upper body aligned. So trying not to stick out through the chest, but rather pulling these low ribs and knitting them or drawing them down towards the front hip bones. So the belly is always drawing slightly in and up. And then feel free to hold in this one a little bit longer, or relax your arms, shake them out for a moment, and we'll combine 2 of the poses we've done already. So we'll first start with bringing the right arm up overhead, hand to the upper back. Can we then bring the left hand behind so that either the hands just reach toward one another, and for you it would be this way, just trying to mirror you when I'm the opposite way, but it would be the right hand and left hand reaching towards one another. Maybe you can reach the fingers toward one another and find a clasp, okay? So holding where you are. Once you find that position, again, notice what the torso is doing. Pull the chest in, belly in. Can we bring in deeper breaths? Again, areas that get quite tight in the arms as we're running. Any tension, let's try to expand that space. Take the breath there. Almost like a balloon filling up, and then that full release on the breath out. Expanding and deflating. Good. If you want to bring in a gentle side bend, let's reach up through the entire body, belly in, and exhale over to the left. Good. Let's come right back up through the center, releasing that clasp, shake the shoulders out. And then let's switch sides. Left arm comes up overhead, bring that bend into the elbow. Bring your right hand behind. Again, trying to find that clasp. If you notice, I do shimmy my chest slightly forward to try and find that bind. And then once I can settle in, I pull the chest back and maintain. Come back to that alignment. Belly in. Feel your sits bones truly root into your support, whatever is underneath you. And then once we find the pose, we find the alignment, and then the breath. If we want that side bend again, slightly up, and then over toward the right. Awesome. Let's come right back up through the center and release the arms down. A little shake through the shoulders. Good. Coming off of the block, let's focus on the thighs. So already, if we sat in Virasana, we're already getting a little bit of lengthening here. A couple different ways we can open up further. So you can stay as you are, and one option would be to bring the hands back behind you and just start to feel a further opening. If this is deep enough, then stay here. If it feels better for you to lift the hips, then focus on pressing down through the feet, lifting the hips. You might also be feeling this gently through your arms, and that's okay. If this isn't deep enough and you want to take it down onto your entire back body, feel free to do that. First, coming down to your forearms, belly always pulling in and trying to find this tuck of the tailbone forward and up. So that again, we aren't just arching into the low back. Pull the front body down with you. Your hips can sink between your feet, and then gently come down onto your back body if it's comfortable and accessible. Knees press to the floor and try to stay pointing forward. Let the back of your head rest down, chin tucking in. So this is one option for a thigh stretch. Stay or feel free to ease out. Coming out of the pose if you're on your back. Bring elbows back down to the mat, gently pressing up, and then we'll walk all the way forward. Right? So in our tabletop, we then walk the hands slightly forward and we'll come down onto our bodies. So the other one is quite, I would say, almost an extreme version of getting a thigh stretch. This one being a great alternative and doing one side at a time. We'll roll onto our left side body and just give yourself a bit of a prop here for your head. Your hand can support you. Okay. Our bottom leg will come slightly forward, just to give, again, a bit of a kickstand so you're not wobbling back and forth. You can always grab a block here. And what we're going to be doing is bringing our top right leg back. So the heel toward our glute. We try to keep the thigh pretty parallel to the mat and reaching toward the wall in this case for myself. And just focusing on the thigh opening up. Hold, and again, breathe into this one. Often runners will have tight thighs and then that ends up creating pain for the knee. So again, if this is creating pain, sharp shooting, piercing pain, then come out of this one. If it's just a little discomfort, then you can sink in. Try to come to the breath. Take your mind off of it a little bit. Good, and then we'll switch sides. So straightening that right leg out, and then coming over onto your right side. So I'm just gonna switch here. Again, let your right hand be that prop underneath your head. Let that right leg bend, a kickstand, maintaining or helping your balance. Bring that left foot toward your glute, holding and drawing your foot toward your glute so that just enough for you to get that stretch through the thigh. Good, one more full breath. And then gently release that leg down your mat. Good, we're gonna press ourselves up to a seated position. Take a moment to once again come back to the arms. So just that very basic stretch. We'll bring our right arm across our chest, left arm grabbing the outside of the arm and drawing it in towards our chest. And then take a moment, switch sides. Left arm comes across, right hand drawing the arm closer towards us. And breathing in. Good. From here, relax your arm down. Let's take a full breath in, sweeping the arms high. And then let's exhale, twisting towards the right side. Left hand comes across to that right knee. Right hand comes behind, tenting the fingers, so just fingertips touching, and pushing down to try to lift up through the spine. Grow taller, lift up through the low back. As you inhale, try to breathe into that gentle compression, or that restriction we feel in the breath here. And then with your inhale, come back up through center, and let's exhale, twisting over to the left side. So your right hand across to your left knee, left hand behind you, tented fingers. Inhale, lift up. center. Maybe a little shoulder shrug, little wiggle, anything you need. And then to end this practice, we're going to use the wall again. So legs up the wall pose is always a great pose, and I've seen it actually recommended for lots of different reasons, for depression, anxiety, for energizing, for insomnia, almost one of those magic poses it seems like. So to bring yourself into the pose, let's bring our hip right up against the wall. Hands come behind you. And then as you come down onto your forearms, let's start to lift the legs and turn ourselves away from the wall so that it's our hips and tailbone reaching towards it. You can kind of shimmy yourself in. I always say it's not a graceful pose to come into, so don't worry about it. Benefit of being online is nobody's watching you. So once you're here, relax down onto your mat. Now I didn't grab myself a pillow, but if you want a pillow or a blanket, feel free to place it underneath your head. Ideally, the chin very gently tucked in towards your chest. Arms can open up alongside your body, or a little deeper connection, hand in hand resting on your heart and maybe on your belly. Now we get this gentle rush of the blood down towards the hips. A great pose to even find in restorative yoga where we hold it for a lot longer. Try to let the legs completely release. A good one if any lactic acid built up during your run, during your sprint, or if we're just very tight in the legs. Often it's very releasing. From here, we can then bring a bend to the knees, so feet walk about halfway down the mat. Open your knees up so that we get into the inner hips. Either sinking in very passive or bringing your hands to the inner knees. Feel free to gently push the knees away from you. For any of these last poses, feel free to hold them longer than I am, just pausing the video and then coming back to it for the next poses. But from here, if you're ready to move on, we'll then start to extend the legs out. So again, trying to target the hips and an opening through the inner thighs. And then again, if you're ready to move on, we'll start to draw the legs back, in towards one another, in towards the midline. We'll bring a bend into the right knee. Let your hands wrap around that knee, and just gently pull it towards your left shoulder, your left armpit. You might feel this on the inner side of your hip, almost your psoas. You might feel this in your glute, just depending on where you are feeling this, where you are tight. And then let's release that leg back up. Switch to the left side, bring that left knee in towards your chest, and then over towards your right armpit. You can always take this a little deeper by bringing your foot to the outside of your extended leg and feeling that it gets further into your glute. Last breath. Good. Bringing that leg back up. A little shake and shimmy. And then we'll come into our full figure four, or supine pigeon. So again, bringing that right knee in towards your chest. And again, just like our lizard pose, we're wanting this action to be at our right hip. So keep your calf pressed against your thigh, in close towards you, and then as you start to open that knee out, again, nothing is changing in your foot or in your knee. It's all happening at the hip. Then we can bring the outside edge of the foot onto our left thigh. This might be a deep enough stretch already. It might be too much, and you might need to move away from the wall just to get into your position. If you'd like to take it further, start walking that left foot down the wall so that the left side is coming closer towards you, and then you can work that right knee away from you. Again, external rotation, we have that opening up of the hip, and we have that flexion, that almost forward fold happening as well. Once your foot is maybe down all the way, you can always press off of the toes, again, pulling that left leg, left side even closer. So often we do a figure four and a pigeon in lots of different orientations, sometimes sitting, sometimes standing. This one lying down is great, and often we do it with the hands wrapped around our knee or our shin. Using the wall, though, allows you to almost come into a passive version. Passive not always being the best. We sometimes want to be active, but there's a time and place. So right now, very much easing down out of our practice. Just working on a bit of flexibility, we can be quite passive here. Again, take your time in these poses. Once you are ready, we will be uncrossing that right leg, extend it up the wall with the left, and then we'll pull that left knee in towards us. Thigh and calf stay connected. Pull the toes back towards you. Maintain everything you've just created there, and open up that left hip. So knee off to the side. Your foot will come onto the right thigh. Walk that right foot down the wall as much as is appropriate for you. And I can already feel that this side is a lot tighter for myself. So I almost notice that my hips are going off to the side and then creating a C shape through my torso. So if that's happening to you as well, feel free to ease out a little bit. Bring your hips back and just stay where you can maintain that alignment, where you can maintain that smooth breath. And over time, you'll find that you're able to deepen the pose without making all these kinds of compensations and alterations to other areas of the body. Once you're ready, uncrossing that then let your knees roll to one side. If you're like me right now, it might feel really nice to get this little bit of a twist, so feel free, hold for a moment. Maybe you want to lift that top leg, bringing the foot to the floor, again in front of that thigh. Reaching your knee toward the ceiling, last breath. And then slowly uncross that leg. Again, just extra if you wanted, letting the knees fall to the opposite side. Maybe staying, maybe you want that added. A little bit of a stretch. Planting the foot into the floor and working the knee toward the ceiling. Making your way back up through to center, making that cross come out. Take your time to roll onto your side and make your way into your final resting pose. So it might be lying down in Shavasana. It might be a seated meditation. Just begin to root down and connect to the supports beneath you, whether that's through your base, through your back body. You can even lie on your belly and feel your breath expanding through the back body. Close your eyes. Take a moment just to acknowledge your practice. Some svadhyaya or a quick reflection on your practice, a quick self-study. Notice any change in state of mind, any differences in your body, in your breath. Connect to your next exhale. Let's find a full drawn-in breath, re-inviting in the intention you've set. A full breath out. And then if you are lying down, make your way up to a seated position. Always ending with a nice neck roll, dropping your right ear towards your right shoulder. Roll your chin down towards your chest. And then let your left ear reconnect to your left shoulder, or move in that direction. Roll your chin back down towards your chest. Bring your hands to heart center. Full breath in. And out. Thank you for sharing your practice. From the light me to the light you. Namaste.